Do you snap at your girlfriend or your wife or your family during a fat loss phase? Then this podcast slash video or whatever you want to call it is for you, because lately I've been, like from my portfolio of clients, I've got one client who is my ideal client because he does whatever the fuck I tell him to do, right? He's been snapping at his girlfriend, wife, and his and not more of like his girlfriend, but more of it on his family during a fat loss phase. And this is something that I've been through, right? But before we just get started, excuse the background. Well, I just wanted to produce a video for the sake of producing a video, because my major focus is on Instagram. But podcast videos, I mean, sure, why the hell not, right? But here we go. Let's crack on, right? But before we just get started, whatever that's mentioned in this video is solely for educational and entertainment purposes only, although I'm not really going to be mentioning any sort of PED advice or supplementational advice or any of that. And that's one. And I am also, before I just crack on, feel free to like, share, subscribe, just blah 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 blah, just do whatever the hell you're good at. It just helps me get to more people out there. But this is a problem that I personally faced during my own fat loss journey, and this is a challenge that my client is currently facing. But you all need to realize, like, the first time when you drop body fat is not really going to be the first time when you drop body fat, right? If you're in this journey for long, you're going to have a series of phases where you're going to build muscle, drop body fat, build muscle, drop body fat, where your calories are going to be high, where your calories are going to be low, yada 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 yada. Okay, so we also need to realize and appreciate the fact that when you are in a calorie deficit, when you're trying to drop body fat, your calories are going to be low, and the hunger hormones are going to be elevated, as a result of which your evolutionary psychology will predispose you to crave for more hyperpalatable foods, but you like foods that are high in sugars and fats, basically things like bread, like things like donuts, things like Indian sweets. Well, that's what I crave for. Shit ton, cheesecake, etc. You get the point, right? Foods that provide you a lot of calories, basically. So, like, you all need to realize. Sorry about this. Yeah. So you all need to realize, like around this particular phase, right? You are the most primitive because your biology is predisposing you to go out and hunt for more food, right? But obviously we don't live in that primitive caveman environment where, where we are like going out and hunting. We are living in a civilized environment, so like the environment is super different. Deal with it, right? But the process is hard, and fat loss is psychologically hard, whereas muscle building is physically hard because you're pushing calories up to the point where you're like extremely uncomfortable. So you need to understand, like, your family or the people whom you would have a tendency to snap with, they can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, right? So a couple of things that you all need to realize is, first of all, you'll get to do this, right? Choosing to cut back your calories during a fat loss phase is a luxury in and of itself, right? Many people don't have the option to do that. So if you can operate from that psychology, that would be great. If you think like you are suffering, I mean, in the first few preps that fat loss preps that you do, you will think that you're suffering, but that's a mindset. But if that problem continues, right, and then perhaps you need to reconsider your priorities, because suffering, you're investing in your future potential, and that's like a really really hard mindset to accumulate, basically, right? That's another thing. These things come with practice. The more preps that you do, the better it's going to get. The other thing is, you all need to communicate with your family that depending on the kind of person you are, you might sometimes be like a bit of an absolute dick, right? For someone like me, I used to be an absolute dick to my family. I used to be an absolute dick to my colleagues and all of that. right? But now it's gotten better. It's gotten better. Like, is it completely gone? The answer is no. I often communicate with my family and tell them, like, hey, I need you to tell me when I tend to be like a bit of an absolute dick, right? I need you to tell me. I need you to tell me so that I'm aware, because sometimes I might not be aware, basically, right? So you all need to communicate with your family well beforehand. If you're like the silent type who just simply goes silent, communicate with them that, hey, I have a tendency to go silent. It's nothing personal. You need to communicate, basically. It's so important. If you feel like talking things out, if you feel like expressing the way you feel to your girlfriend or your family, sit down with your girlfriend or your family and just tell them, like, fuck me, this process is hard, this is what I'm going through, etc. Sometimes just simply talking stuff out helps. Believe it or not, it helps. Like, when I often speak to my mom during my fat loss preps, I mean, Jesus, that actually helps a lot, right? But do you understand that the harder you dig, the deeper you dig, the more the noise at the back of your head is gonna like accumulate. It is gonna accumulate. So that's something that you need to make peace with, which is gonna take some time to accumulate. The other thing is, your family or your girlfriend or your wife, they love to help you. Right? They might not understand what you're going through, because they haven't gone through the process, and why should they? This is a choice that you've made, right? So what you can also do is communicate with them, delegate some tasks. I often tell my mom, like, Mom, can you please probably help me out with the salad? Well, she cooks some of my salad, basically. Um, what else? Yeah. So teach them, right? Delegate some of the tasks, and like this, you're just showing that this is your way of receiving help, right? They might have a different love language, you might have a different love language. That's where the clash begins. So yeah, like this is solely my feedback around things, right? Also, a few practical tips, because I don't want to go down the mind wank and the communication side of things. But a few practical tips is, like, whenever we feel angry, whenever we feel snappy, I think we can replace that with like another toxic habit, which isn't what I'm not really a huge fan of. So what I'd probably do back in the day was I'd probably go out and vape. Not a huge fan of it. Please don't fucking do that. Or what we can also do is simply go for a walk, which is a far better habit, right? Some people also advise that it makes more sense for you to replace it with like you punching a boxing bag, but you're replacing one angry habit with like another angry habit, and nothing good often comes out of anger. Take it from someone who's been through the process like several fucking times. So yeah, that's what I'd probably say, right? Journaling also really helps, as men, we often just consume a lot of technical information around bodybuilding, but we often, or even fat loss or like looking good or fitness, but we often like fail to invest in our mental health. So what do I mean by this is, journal, meditate, learn how to be mindful, spend some time alone by yourself, spend some time in nature. Take like a day off where you're just literally doing fuck all, like playing video games, basically, right? What else also helps? Yeah, what's helped me has been, it's obviously it's not perfect. Journaling, carrying, like, so right now I'm like in a bit of a phasing out process, right? The food noise is fucking high, so I've been carrying like a bit of a small little pocket journal at the back of my head, and I often ask myself, like, hey, what would a balanced person do? What would a balanced person do? So whenever the emotions are high, right? I mean, you just write it down, right? Writing things down brings things from the subconscious to the consciousness, and I mean, you're not suppressing your feelings, you're just acknowledging things. Acknowledging stuff is going to make the process 10x easier. That's what I'm often going to tell people, basically. So yeah, and being more normal, sparing time off, all of that actually helps. Also having like a skill to accumulate where you just like literally lose control, because people who usually get into this fitness thing, right, they usually tend to be like control freaks. Trust me, I've been reading up more on this, right? So I hope this helps These are my 2 cents with regards to my experience. But if you all invest in your body, in your physical health, which takes effort, you all also need to invest in your mental health, which obviously takes effort as well. So yeah, people, if you found this useful, feel free to like, share, subscribe. I am obviously no therapist, but here's my 2 cents around the process. And excuse the background today because I just wanted the curtains open because yeah, that basically is it. And I hope 2026 is treating you all well. Have a nice one. I'm just done with the fucking cold, right? There's like a bit of a viral which is going around in Dubai basically. So yeah, I'm soon going to be going to Vietnam as well. So I'm going to be making some more content around, full day of eating in 7-Eleven, from 7-Eleven while staying fit, full day of whatever, like my life in Vietnam, etc. For like 13 days. So yeah, have a nice one.